Welcome to your mats. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. My name is Allie, and today I am breaking down two different postures, both of which are arm balances. If you've ever taken my classes before or practiced with me, you know that I do love cueing and teaching arm balances, not just because they look cool for social media. That is the opposite reason why I would do it. It's actually because it keeps me in the present moment. Arm balances give us something to work towards, where we're focusing on all these different body parts, and when we are in a more challenging posture, it negates anything off the mat, right? You can't be thinking about your to-do list, your grocery list, or things that you have to do at work or for your family when you're focusing on all the different pieces to hold you upright. So that's truly why I love arm balances. It also helps me feel strong, supported, and playful, which my practice is definitely a more playful one. So today we're going to start with one of the most common arm balances in the yoga practice, that of crow or Bakasana. For this one, there's many modifications and ways to enter, so I will offer you a couple of those so you feel safe, stable, and then show you the true, fullest expression of Bakasana crow pose. So to start, you might take a block underneath your feet. I'll shift to the side. This will help bring your knees up a little closer to your armpits, and for today's purpose, we'll go on the outside of our arms. So to kind of back up, there's two variations. Crow pose like this, where your knees are tucked in towards your triceps or armpits, and then there's crow pose where we squeeze our legs, adduct into our arms. So this is my friend Daisy. She is apparently here for the ride. We're not in down dog, girlfriend. Scoot along. Over here. Good girl. Sit. She loves to come anytime my mat's out. So we'll just scoot her out of the way. So coming to a block, take your toe mounds to the block, scoot on down. Daisy, no. Take your knees out wide. Hopefully you don't have a large German Shepherd in your way. Hands will come shoulder width apart. Spread your fingers well. Press into your finger pads like a mo'o, like a gecko. That will help be your brakes. I like to press so much into my finger pads that my middle knuckles lift, my nails turn white. I'm protracting, separating shoulders, creating some space, squeezing, tucking my knees, my inner thighs into my upper arms. Now, gaze forward. If you look forward, you will stay up. If you look down, odds are you will go down. As I squeeze my legs into my arms, I shift forward, bending at the elbows like I'm in chaturanga. Press into your finger pads, lift your booty, gaze forward. Maybe you lift one toe, maybe you lift both. Now I'm tucking my belly in towards my spine, gazing forward, continue to breathe. That is one variation. After you try that way, or if you're worried about rolling forward, know that the worst that will probably happen is you drop your chin to your chest and somersault. But for a little bit of stability, you can take a block in front of you. Same setup, but your feet are on the ground, kind of starting in the Malasana style. Hands are as wide as your shoulders. Inhale, shift forward. Same steps, protract your shoulders. Finger pads press into the earth like a mo'o, like a gecko. As we lift our heels, shift forward even more. Place your forehead on the block, squeeze your thighs in. Lift your feet. Continue to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your feet and your thighs into your arms. Final variation, or actually two more variations. If you want that sensation of getting into crow pose but have that fear of falling, that is completely normal. A way to get into it with the same anatomical pieces working. So working, let's see, strengthening our serratus anterior. What else do we got here? Our psoas, triceps, flexors. We can do it from a tripod headstand or a setup for tripod. Again, hands are shoulder width apart. That is the safe way to do it. You'll see many arm balances are shoulder width or slightly further apart. Inhale, shift forward like you're going to take that chaturanga push-up, but tuck your chin to your chest. Drop your head so you're making an equilateral triangle. Separate your shoulders, protract, press into your finger pads. Lift your knees, walk your legs in. Stack your booty over your shoulders, then lift one leg to your tricep, maybe the other. This is crow pose, but on your head you have the same muscle engagement, and this for me is lovely because I can practice separating my shoulders, protracting my shoulders. I can practice pressing into my finger pads as a stopper. If you're feeling stable with the 3 variations, block under your feet, block by your first eye, or coming from that tripod, perhaps you try to take that more traditional full expression of Bakasana crow pose. I will demonstrate your legs outside of your arms as well as knees to triceps, which is my personal favorite. First, we'll take the legs out wide, squeezing in towards your arms. That's a little safer variation. I feel you're closer to the ground and have a little bit more control because your ADD adductor muscles are usually so strong that it can kind of squeeze you and hold you in like a suction cup. So, coming from that Malasana style, make yourself a little ball like a turtle. Hands again come underneath your shoulders. Lift your heels, squeeze your legs into your arms, shift forward, protract your shoulders. So going from regular to protraction, press finger pads into the mat, shift forward, squeeze, 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 squeeze your thighs, gaze forward, maybe your toes will lift. If that feels good, or you want to get more height, or you have the ability to tuck tighter into a ball, I invite you to try Bakasana with your knees on your triceps. The higher up your knees are towards your armpits, the lighter you'll feel. Same setup as all the other variations. Hands shoulder width apart. Protract shoulders, gaze forward. Lift your heels as you shift forward, bend your elbows. Press into those finger pads, middle knuckles lift. Perhaps you take 1 or 2 feet up. Now I'm constantly pressing into my finger pads here, lifting my heels towards my booty. So there you have it. That is Bakasana, traditional crow pose. Every time I get out of an arm balance, I like to interlace my hands, circle out wrists, open and close the wrists, or even practice stretching, flexing, and extending your hand. The second pose that we will play with is Parsva Bakasana, which is commonly known as side crow. Very similar anatomical cueing, except this is with a twist. So you have that strength of an arm balance, the protraction, the separation of your shoulders like you're pushing something away. Strong fingers, press into finger pads, grip, grip, grip the earth like you're pulling your finger pads towards the middle of your palm. That will create this bend in your hand and your fingers, your tarsals, and lift your middle knuckles, and that's your brake system so that you don't just roll forward. It kind of stops you and makes you feel strong and secure. So to get into Parsva Bakasana, there's a couple of different variations here that you can get into it. One of my favorites is coming from a chair pose, a lower chair pose. So for this posture, well, I guess we'll just start in chair pose just to get ourselves activated here, or chair pose prep. Hands can come to shins. So I like to, before attempting this, get into your obliques, get them flexible and moving throughout class, get into your glutes for sure, spinal extension, strong spine, and also some twisting here. And then for strengthening our serratus anterior, those push muscles, that will help you lift up from the earth. That's very important. Your spinal rotator, your psoas, your hip flexor, and your triceps. You'll need those all for the side crow Parsva Bakasana. Something else to think about for this posture is not to do it if you have any shoulder, wrist issues, low back injuries, or if you're pregnant, because we are contracting and twisting. So stay away from this pose if you are pregnant. So as we are coming into this, we're going to focus on turning our hands slightly out to externally rotate the humerus. That will help us lift up a little bit more. So if you're ready, variation 1 will come from chair pose, hands to heart center. I like to walk my feet in a little closer, tuck that tailbone, lift the heels, sink down low. Inhale, sit up tall. I'm lifting my heels up. I'm on my toe mound. Now I'm twisting over towards the right, so I'll cue from this way. As I exhale, I twist over to the right. I hook my left tricep to my right thigh and immediately sass my left knee back. Then I take my left hand down, my right hand down a little wider than shoulder width, turning the fingers slightly out, pressing into my shoulder blades to protract the shoulders, separate the shoulders. Finger pads are pressing into the earth, lifting that middle knuckle. I like to gaze past my right middle finger, so I'm looking forward rather than down. As you inhale, shift forward. Then as you start to bend your elbows, variation 1, lift your left leg like you are a dog at a fire hydrant, and then perhaps that bottom right leg lifts too. You can keep your legs separated here. Twist a little bit more. Another variation has legs together. Now, if you haven't tried this variation before, it may be difficult, so to give you some feedback here, I like to take a block between my upper inner thighs. Again, coming from that chair pose, hands can be at heart center. I'll actually take this on the other side to even out. Lift your heels, sink down, squeeze that block like it's $1 million between your legs. Then as we twist over, this time to the left, hook your right tricep to your left thigh. Place that right hand down, left hand down, spread your fingers well. Inhale, look forward, shift forward over your left fingertips, press into the finger pads, pull your finger pads towards your midline, squeeze your inner thighs, ADD, adduction. Then as you shift forward, maybe you lift your right toes, perhaps your left toes come up as well. Push into the earth, push, 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 lift your shoulders. And then come down. So I'm going to do this one more time with legs together without a prop. Again, just like regular Bakasana, you can take the block under your feet. You can set the block up in front of where your face would be, or perhaps a pillow if you're afraid of falling. But there are 3 steps that I'll cue you through as we go into side crow, Parsva Bakasana. The first is when we twist, we're leaning. So leaning where you want to go. The second step is to resist, grip, grip, grip the earth. The third step, after you lean, after you resist and grip, step 3 is going to be pushing the earth away, like you're trying to push up as if you were like playing basketball or something. So you're pushing up, or like leapfrog if you were a first grade teacher or have kids. So you're pushing, pushing, pushing. This will separate your shoulders. You can kind of see from the side, the more you push, the more space you get between your shoulders. That just makes you feel a little bit lighter, feels a little more supportive. So we'll play with this on each side once again in this Parsva Bakasana. Again, coming from that chair, sinking down, twisting. I'm going over to the right this time, sassing my left hip back, my left knee back. I'm leaning. I'm resisting with my grip of my fingers. Then as I push the earth away, I start to feel a little bit lighter. There's Rita saying hello, and I lift my legs. You can gaze down, you can gaze over to your knees if you feel stable. As you start to play with this, you can switch up your legs, which does change the name of the pose, but there are some fun ways to express yourself in this Parsva Bakasana. So I'll take it to the left side with a couple different leg variations. First, coming in with separated legs. Again, knees can be together, knees can be wide. Just play with what works for you. So hands go in front. I lean. I resist by gripping. Let's start by lifting the legs so we're separating the legs. As I do that, I'm pushing the earth away. My legs are separate. Then you can bring the legs back together and separate. Maybe that top leg reaches back, the front leg reaches forward. Again, arm balances are a practice such as this practice of yoga. It's not something that many people try that first time and have a successful first attempt. So something to come back, revisit, externally rotating at your humerus, get a little more space, leaning, resisting by gripping, and pushing the earth away. I hope you have fun practicing these arm balances, and I can't wait to see you on your mats. Aloha.